Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party and my buddy Rhett back there. It is Tuesday at 7:53 a.m. It is beautiful outside. Shorts and t-shirt weather for sure. I think it's supposed to hit like 70 degrees Fahrenheit today. So it's absolutely gorgeous. I think we are done with the cold weather. February 25th, it's very, very unlikely that we will see any more cold weather this year. I think that there may be frosts in the night that happen, so it might get down to like, I don't know exactly how cold it has to get to frost, but I know this year I'm trying to grow some potatoes and in containers on my deck, and that frost is you don't want to put them out there until after the first frost. So I don't know, but anyways, so we're trying to work on making this little guy up here animated like this guy. As soon as this guy's animated, this guy goes away and he's gone. Because we're sort of progressively trying to make this more of a component architecture. And then and so there's that. And so basically right now what we have is in the whole app component. So that's basically everything. There's a hard-coded set of descriptive objects that describe this behavior, and then there's code that knows how to cause this behavior. And now I'm porting all that over into here, and I got all the drawing part done, but I did not get the animation part done. And I think there's two parts that have to be done in the animation. And one part is that I need to attach some kind of code to ThreeJS, to something called a renderer in the ThreeJS that will be executed regularly to handle animations. Now that is a very interesting thing because there's a concept in the browser called the request animation frame, and that tries to run 60 times a second. But it's not guaranteed to run 60 times a second. So you do have to do a little bit of code to normalize that, so that basically the progression of some animated thing happens in according to the amount of time that has passed, not tied to every time. So like if you were to look at the animation of this, and I feel like I can actually see the sort of choppiness in there, but it is just adding a specific amount of rotation every single run. But we don't want to do that. We actually want to calculate how long it's been since the last run, and then calculate how much the animation should be. But anyways, that's kind of ahead of that's sort of not where we're at right now. That's down the road. What we're at right now is just trying to attach some code that's going to run every time to the animation. So we could just attach a function to the request animation frame that handles this stuff, or we could use ThreeJS to do that. And ThreeJS has a concept where they basically abstract that. So I don't know. I think I've been thinking about like how do you sort of determine, do you want to use the ThreeJS abstracted version, or do you want to go straight to the browser? And I guess it's like, how do you want to be coupled? Like, do you want to be coupled to the browser, or do you want to be coupled to ThreeJS? I mean, I guess I 100% have to be coupled to ThreeJS. None of this works at all without ThreeJS. It is technically, it's so incredibly unlikely, but it's technically feasible that there'll be some other thing that all of this code will work for that isn't in a browser. And then I would like to possibly, I mean, there is a freaking outside chance that like I could port this Angular application and ThreeJS, this whole Angular application, to some other platform completely, like some mobile platform, or maybe some platform that handles, you know, I don't know, billboards or things, embedded systems and something. I don't know, who the hell knows. But anyways, that's where we're at right now. That's kind of stuff that you kind of have to think about. But so what we want to do is we want to put like a console log in here. Well, first thing I think we should do is let's inspect and just make sure that our console log isn't screwed up in some way already. Okay, that's a nice clean console. I can't even tell you as a professional developer how often I decide, oh, I'm going to do some debugging, and then I look in the console to start doing debugging, and there's some kind of messed up issue going on in there, and then it's like, okay, stop everything, let's figure this out. It's really, really hard in a situation where you're working with a lot of other people, because it could be somebody else's code that has been merged in that now is doing it. So it's like kind of like a, I don't know, I think if you were a sailor, it would be like the Leviathan or the giant squid or something, you know. It's just like this horrible, horrible thing that just sort of is an indicator that there's a problem, but you're just sort of ignoring it. So it's probably best not to ignore it and to at least know what's going on. But so I have this create render for ID, and it returns a function. And that function, I'm basically for now, I'm just going to have it do a console log. Console.log. Modify the scene for st render for plus st render ID. So I don't think I've done anything with this yet, so when I look in here I should not see anything. But it is possible. Sometimes, you know, I don't remember everything I've done in the past. But yeah, so I'm not doing this. So what I need to do is attach this function that I'm getting to the scene. And I think I want to do that in the renderer service, the st renderer service. So basically here I want to get, yeah, I think this would be the place that I want to get a function for the given ID. So I don't see, I think my life would be a little bit easier if I had to call this st renderer ID. And I don't think like right now it's that big of a deal, but I think as I start to code in the future, what's going to happen is this ID is going to pop up, and I'm going to want a really good way to determine in my brain quickly. I want to have a really good way to determine quickly what the what if I'm dealing with an st renderer ID or if I'm dealing with the renderer ID, the ThreeJS renderer ID, because the ThreeJS renderer has an ID as well. All right, so now I want to inject the animation service into my st renderer service. So that's going to be a private. I don't think that's necessarily, there's a whole lot of any benefit really to doing that, but I think I guess it's nice to know that, just to immediately say, okay, no, nothing else should use this. It's just kind of a good way, I guess, for myself. And I'm really thinking out loud there, because I don't think it has any practical value. I mean, it does have practical value, but not, it does have actual real world implications, but I don't think there's any actual practical benefit to not allowing it. Although one of the practical benefits is if something does get screwed up and in that service, you know it didn't get screwed up because of somebody having a reference to this renderer service. So I guess that is pretty nice. ST. Like a lot of times when you're doing stuff like putting private in front of things, it's cool because like you avoid certain problems, but you don't know what problems you avoided, and that can be really weird. Like especially if you're doing like certifications and stuff, because they may be like, "What are the implications of not having private here?" And you're just like, "I don't know. I just do that because it seems like the obvious thing to do." So, anyways, animation service, and that is an ST animation. Did I just call it animation? Let's go to my animation service. No. But I did call it animation service. And I guess there is no such thing as a 3JS animation service. So I guess I want to go through this mental gymnastics every freaking time. Because I gotta always remind myself, because it's easy to just think to yourself, oh, like it'll be easy to forget that this animation service is something that is not rooted in there is no 3JS sort of concept here. So now let's see this. We got a blue one, so I always love that, and yeah, that looks right. All right, so now we do not want to call it animation servicer, but that is actually scene servicer, ST camera servicer. That probably would have been cool if that had become a standard in the beginning, to add the R to everything, so then you know that that's just a further thing to indicate that it's implementation, not an actual instance, not a description of it, so anyway, so now const animation function and I'm just going to say this is a string, just so that it helps me when I do create renderer function for ID, and then st renderer ID. And now this is my trick, is this actually tells you what to put here instead of string. And then so now we have our animation function. If I hit save, everything's fine, nothing happens. Let's just make sure we don't have any weird errors in our console log. Yeah, I didn't think so. Now, renderer service, I don't believe has anything to add. So I think we want a function. Oh, so I did that there. Okay, so I do not think that is a good idea, because I believe I'll call render by ID many times, and I think the render service, that this function will actually call render by ID over and over again. So we do not want to just keep adding the function over and over and over again to that. So yeah, we had a really good chance of creating a really screwy bug. And let's just say function for ID. It's a void. And it takes an st renderer ID. And you know what? I don't see any benefit to doing it this way. It seems like this is where we want to do it. We actually want to do it when we create our base renderer. We create our base renderer, we'll then add the function to it that will run every single time. Yeah, this is very abstract, very weird to think about. But, oh, shoot. That's true. Okay, so what this does... Okay, we create the renderer here. Okay, here's where we create our renderer by renderer ID. Render service, we create the renderer. It seems like, yeah, this is where we would want to. And then we get a instance of, we get that ender that we right here. And here we could actually add our render, our animation. Okay, const render function colon equals dot animation service dot create render function for ID, and this is render ID. And this should not be render. This should be st renderer ID. I don't have to have that now. Don't like that. I really don't, but it just does not hit. It's like one of the, it's like trying not becoming comfortable with that is like going over to the beach and standing in the water and trying to stop the water from coming in. I mean, it's happening. People love that. And I don't think there's anything you can do about it, so you might as well go with it. All right, so I think what will happen now, since I've, oh no, nothing will happen now because I didn't actually attach it. Now that I have a renderer function, the question is, so what I can do, let's see, inspect, console. What I could do, and I probably don't want to do it this way, is I could say renderer dot, what is it? I can't remember what it's called. Set animation loop, is that how you do it? I think it is set animation loop. I guess what we should do is just to double check, make sure, because that does not feel right to me, but that doesn't mean anything really. Oh, it was set animation loop. Okay. So we can do this. Render dot animation loop. And then just give it the render function that we just got. And let's just see what, if theoretically what, oh, that scared me. Theoretically what should happen is, yeah, see now it's being executed for over and over again. I think for both of these. So this must be scene 2. Now, I don't think that's, okay, so let's go ahead and go to this, because I think, and it doesn't even matter, but let's just, so this is not a scene. Well, we are modding for render ID. So that makes a little bit more sense. I don't know. It seems to be a little bit less responsive now. Oh no, okay, that was just. So let's go back. Okay, so that works. That works perfectly fine, but I don't want to do that because I want any interaction that's directly with ThreeJS to happen on the ThreeJS side, on the 3 side. So basically over here, I want to add a function called set render function. Set animation. And that's going to take the STID. Which is going to be a number. And it's going to, I don't have a get. I have to have had a get. Oh yeah, get render. Okay. That's render, which is of type three.web. I'll render equals this dot get render by ID, which is STID. And then, yeah, I really hate the way I did this over here. I probably should go back and change this. Call these STIDs because these are not the ThreeJS render. These are not the ThreeJS render IDs. These are the ThreeJS STIDs. And so this also takes the function. I'm just going to call it fun, which I think we did it like this, right? Void. And then render dot. Fun. So that should do the same thing, but basically the interaction with ThreeJS is now moved to the 3 side. Now, the one reason is just, trying to do, just trying to do the right thing, it's part of it. But the other part of it is I 1000% know that this animation stuff is going to get complicated, and anything I can do to make it less complicated to separate concerns, I'm going to do. But so this dot render service. So we know this is ThreeJS because there's not an ST in front of it. Dot set action function ID and then ST ID and then render function. So, uh-oh. Did I not save? That is probably because I didn't save over there, I'm guessing. Oh, shoot. Okay, so this is, okay, no. I'm on the ST side. I already got confused. I'm still on the ST side. What, am I? No, I'm not on the ST side now. Where the heck? Oh, how do I keep ending up in the ST side? Okay. Yeah, see, it's unsaved. Man. I have such a hard time with those sorts of abstractions. Inspect. Console log. Okay, so I think that's working. Just to double check that it's working in animation service, I'm just going to add a question mark here just to ensure I'm not seeing some sort of false positive. Console. Yeah, so now we have our question mark. So now, see, where are we at? Yeah, let's 821. Let's push forward just a little bit farther. A little bit farther. Okay, so now this guy needs to be able to get the ST renderer. That's all it knows how to do right now is get the ST renderer. So we need to import the ST renderer. We need to inject it. We aren't doing any injections at all yet, so we're going to need the inject function from Angular core. And then over here, we're going to say ST renderer service. And that's of type ST renderer service. And that is equal to inject and ST renderer service. Okay, so now we do have our SG. This is a good time to sort of get our head wrapped around all this stuff and just sort of organize the imports. So basically, I think I've been doing the interfaces before the services. Can't remember for sure. Doesn't really matter, but it's good to just kind of get a 30,000 foot view of everything whenever you get a chance. So everything is broken. Inspect. Console. Circular dependency injected. So it doesn't seem to, so it doesn't like this, I don't think. Am I in, was I where I thought I was? So it's, so it's saying that the ST renders, I guess it doesn't like the fact that the ST render service injects the animation service. Which I kind of need the functionality inside of the ST render service. Oh. I need this functionality so that I can travel through the tree and figure out what the so I can travel through the tree and figure out what the and it's kind of funny that it breaks, but it doesn't break in here or here. It's just a runtime breakage. I wonder if I restart. You don't really see that very often in Angular anymore. You used to see that all the time in the earlier versions of Angular. Yeah, right. That is wild. So, like, the transpiler does not seem to recognize this problem, but the browser does not like this. It does not like the fact that the renderer service is not, that the renderer service is injected into here and that this is injected into the render service. It doesn't like that. That's really, really a bummer. And I don't think it's I don't think it's something that is unreasonable. Like to say, hey, I have two services that need each other. Because one of them knows how to, because one of them creates a function that is going to be used, and the other one has the ability to, update next. I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do at this point. I feel like I'm wondering if I should pass it in here, or if I should pass the, because what I could also do, let's see, where when I create the render function, let's just make sure. Okay, I'm in the animation service, and then create renderer for ID. All right. Okay, something is completely, this should not be create renderer. This should be create renderer function for ID. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of this. I don't know why this is create. I feel like maybe I've done something completely weird. Create renderer function. And really it should be animation function. And this should tell me everywhere where it's broken. then, so what I could do, and I don't know if this is the right thing to do, is see, I have the ST renderer ID. I'm wondering if, see, I don't have the ST renderer yet. So I don't know exactly if this is what I should do. I'm actually so glad I dealt with this right now. This is going to give me some good stuff to think about. I will probably fall asleep tonight thinking about this. And then I can also pass it the ST renderer. I do not like this. I do not like the fact that I have to do this, because I would like to have just be able to use this. Go to definition. ST renderer. And then I don't even, do I even need the ID? I don't even think I need the ID. Because this function cannot, oh, oops, I didn't know how to do that. ST renderer. Yeah, I don't even use it. I don't even use that stuff. That's a fact. So basically the console log won't print out the object, but we can stop it. We can go here and stop it and see. See, now we have all the information for it. So we can actually work our way down into this scene, and then we have the ST meshes, and then inside the meshes we can have we can add our animations they get added at the mesh level. Oh, see, we have our ST animations, so we'd be able to go in, and then we even have the meshes themselves, the 3 meshes, so we could actually go into the we could actually modify things as we want in this. Like, we can modify these things, and I don't know, I don't like it. I would rather be able to do that through my service, but it doesn't look like that is a option for us, unfortunately, which is a real bummer. And I don't understand, because they're both singletons, right? So my animation service should not care if it gets a reference to that other service. So it'll be fun to think about that through the night and try to understand why I can't inject ST renderer service in here. I'm actually going to leave it like this so that it reminds me in the future that for some reason I could not. I'm actually going to put a comment here. Injecting the ST renderer. It was interesting because, like, when I was sort of really getting stressed out, Rhett just started piling on and trying to get me more stressed out. But now that the stress is behind me, she's like, she's just like, what? Everything's fine. We're all good. But yeah, so now we don't need the render. I don't even think we need this renderer ID anymore. So let's just go ahead and get rid of that, Because I mean, we have the entire renderer object. We can get the renderer ID if we wanted it. I don't see, since we can't really use the since we can't use the renderer service. I just don't understand that. It seems like that should be perfectly fine. All right, so yeah, so basically, I think maybe animations. This service is going to be nasty. It's just going to be a nasty service, and yeah, I think it is going to need to be able to directly interface with ThreeJS, and it's going to need to have a lot of the logic that should just only live in the ST side. So I'm just going to put that as a note for myself. This is a browser error, runtime error, /error, and then all rules broken in this service because it's directly with the ST stuff and the 3 stuff. And so this is probably why we'll end up needing to create, we'll end up needing those references to the actual ThreeJS objects in there. So the places where I pulled out and just made it the IDs, I will likely end up needing to actually, instead of having IDs, actually have references, or maybe the ID and references. Because on the ST side, we can just do ID stuff all day long. But the animation side, things get really, really funky. Now, what we want to make sure that we do is we don't create long-lasting references. So this function just runs, see, this function just runs over everything outside of this function could become a memory leak. Everything inside this function gets destroyed. This thing gets executed one time, consumed, and then it's gone. This stuff out here will live forever. So we've got to make sure that we never, ever, ever make any connections to anything that might get destroyed out here. I think. I guess if you got rid of the whole object that is using this, so if the renderer was just gone, then it's fine. Then I think that would get cleaned up. That is some really weird stuff to try to imagine in your head, all the different links that are created. So anyways, yeah, animations, every time we go into animations, it's just going to be weird. And we're going to learn a lot. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.